everyone, this is Veronica Johnson with Sew It Seams. Welcome to my sewing studio. Today I am super excited to bring you a project that is pretty simple but an easy way to get your feet wet into quilting. What we're going to do today is make a jelly roll table runner. It's called a jelly roll table runner because it uses a jelly roll. It's a really simple way of making a table runner with fabrics that are already pre-cut. And so all you'll need to do is find a jelly roll and then some fabric for the backing and for the batting. So I hope you'll join me as we make a table runner. So your jelly rolls are going to be wrapped up like this, and you'll unwrap them and unroll them. And as you unroll them, you'll notice that your strips, they're not all different types of fabric. There are coordinating line, but you're going to have several repeats, such as this one. I have 1, 2, 3 strips. Sorry, 4. I have 4 strips of my fabric. So this one has 4. I have 4 of the plaid, 4 of this gray with the trees, 4 of this design. It's kind of blowing out a little bit, but it looks a little bit like a knitted sweater. And then 4 of just a different type of print. So I have 5 different fabrics in my jelly roll. Kind of lay them out here, and you can see the different fabrics that I have. Okay, so when I am making this jelly roll, the strips measure the width of the fabric. So it's 44 inches wide. So they are, see, they're doubled. So we have a 44-inch wide piece of fabric strip. With my table runner that I'm making, I only want approximately 18 inches wide. I can go a little bit wider, but 18 inches is going to be good. The jelly roll that I have has 5 different fabrics, and the fabrics are repeated 4 times. Now each jelly roll can come with a different fabric repeats or a different number of fabrics that are in the collection. So you'll need to look at your jelly roll and see what you have in there. Some fabrics will be repeated 4 times like mine is, maybe 5, sometimes 3 or even 2 times, depending on the jelly roll and depending on the company. So you'll want to look at how many fabrics you have and how many repeats of that fabric that you have. And then you're going to do a little math to figure out how many strips that you want for your table runner. Now each of the strips in a jelly roll, they're cut 2.5 inches wide. That means that when it's sewn, the strips will be 2 inches wide. So that you'll need to take into account as you are figuring out how long you want your table runner. Another table runner that I did was 40 inches, and that used 20 strips. What I found for my table was it was just a bit short, so I decided for this one to make it a little bit longer. So I am going to be using 30 strips of fabric. For 30 strips of fabric and 5 different fabric choices, I'm going to need to cut 6 strips out of each of my fabrics. So I'll have 5 fabrics and cut 6 strips out of each one, and that will give me the 30 strips that I need. Now, since I am going to be cutting 2 pieces of, I'm going to be cutting this piece of fabric. I could cut each piece individually, however many times, 30 times. I could cut each one individually 30 times, but I'm going to keep this one lined up evenly. So I'm lining up the edges. I'm going to cut both of these fabrics at the same time. I will use my longer ruler, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to first start down here on the end let me move this down so you can see. I'm starting on this end so that I can cut off that selvage end. So first I line up my ruler, and when I'm cutting, I don't like to line up my ruler on the very edge. I have a harder time to see if my fabric is on the edge. That's just me. I can't see it as well, but I can see it clearly when it's lined up with these marks here. So now I'm going to cut. Now I am right-handed, but I do a lot of strip cutting, so I can cut with my left hand, but I would recommend you cut with your dominant hand. So I'm holding my ruler down, and I will cut the selvage off, and I close my blade. Always close your blade. Okay, so that's my selvage. Throw those away. Now I'm going to move my ruler around because my markings are down here. And I'm going to move this down to the 18. And actually what I'm going to do is I have decided that I'm going to make my runner a little bit wider. I'm going to cut them to 20. And I can cut a little bit wider. And if I decide that once I get it all put together, it feels too wide, then I can trim that down. Okay, so I have this lined up, and I'm going to make my cut right here. There. That is 20 inches of 2 strips. First 2 done. Only 58 more to go. Line up the selvage edge. We're going to do the same thing. I have 4 layers. So this is going to be 4 of my 6 strips for this fabric print. Last piece. All right, that was the last cut. I'm going to move my ruler out of the way. So I'm going to start off just kind of laying out different things, and this will just give a visual for what I think might look good. Okay, and let's get this Christmas sweater design. Okay, and then the little trees. Now I want to repeat that pattern so I get an idea of what it looks like. Okay, so I've got the trees, Christmas sweater, houses, plaid, signs. So now I need to get another tree. Tree, Christmas sweater. One of the houses. Now I have many more fabrics to lay out. This is all that you can see, whoops, in this particular shot here. I'm running out of room, guys. I'm running out of all kinds of room. There we go. Okay. This gives me kind of a visual for what it looks like. With this being monochromatic, it's easy because I can look at just the grayscale, looking at tone. I like the play of light and dark. I don't want too much dark next to each other. And this is a really good choice. Even though this has dark, it has a lot of the white because of the signs. So it's a good transition from this very light, almost like a medium and a dark. So I end up with a dark, light, medium, dark, light, medium, and on it goes. I think I like this. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to get these all in order that I want to sew. Now this is how I'm going to stack them. This is where my seam is going to be for these two. So I'm going to flip this one over, line those up. So I'm just going to get my pins, and I'm going to take a pin and pin right in this corner just of where I'm going to sew. I'm going to pin it this way because that's where I'm going to begin sewing. And so you can see, maybe it's a little light, my pin is right here. This is the corner I'm going to start sewing to sew the strip down. Okay, so those two came together. That means this one and this one is going to come together. So I'll pin those two together, matching the ends, and just one pin down. I'll slide that down. Then I'll have this one and this one, and I'll flip that over. Okay, here are my next strips. House and the sweater. The house is going to move over on top. I have 30 strips, so I'm going to end up with 15 of these pairs. Last pin. Great. Okay, I have all of my strips pinned together into pairs. Now I want to stack them so I'll be able to sew them and not get confused. I want to be able to do chain piecing with these. So that means I would just sew a strip and then grab the next one and sew those strips and then grab the next one and move on down. So what I have to remember is this one is going to be all the way to the right hand side. When I sew this, I want to open this up and this will be on the right hand side. I'm going to put a little green pin on this end, just in this side of the fabric. So that way I can see this is my end. So when I start trimming, then I'll be able to know. So I'm going to stack, and I'm going to stack them right in order, right on top of the next one. Okay, so I'll start stacking all these. I'm going to set up the sewing machine so that we can sew. Thank you for joining me on step 1 of the Jelly Roll Table Runner. I hope you'll come back and see the next part and see how this table runner comes together. If you have any questions, you can comment below or send me an email at SewItSeamsCreations@outlook.com. This is Veronica Johnson with Sew It Seams, and remember, keep stitching.